Now it's time to press buttons and talk with Manky and ProZD.
Who knows who did it? We'll find out and lay this case to rest.
The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we've more than solved this case already. Don't you?
Do you need to go to the restroom?
Yes, I have professional demeanor. We'll see. It all depends.
Look at her, she's shaking.
I know, she looks like
kinda...
I don't have to poop today. We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. And why is Mr. Bad here? Why even is Mr. Bad here? He doesn't do anything. A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. Franziska von Karma.
I have a duty to see this case through to the end, no matter how it turns out.
Oh? Is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements. During the time when our suspect was in the hallway, the judge had quite a movement earlier today, and he talked about it in great detail. Too much, in fact. I also confirmed that there is no possibility route of escape from lobby number 2.
Possibility route. My favorite visual novel.
That sounds like it'd be like a fucking From Zero escape or something.
Yeah.
Therefore, the killer must without a doubt be Detective Gumshoe.
That's the new controversial mechanic in Ace Attorney 7 is possibility routes, and that's all you have.
Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion, and this case.
Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there is always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law.
We're not in a trial, though. I'm just.
It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think?
No, because we're not doing a trial. How absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony.
If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is to prove it by showing who the real killer is. Not just like calling the police and telling them just...
Yeah, we don't...
No,
this is not a
I need
valid...
to argue it out.
We're gonna spend a lot of time here today and there's no... Okay. Everyone sans the subject has an alibi when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? Really gotta poop. I also confirmed that there is no possible escape route from lobby number 2.
No possibility routes?
Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth.
But of course. There is no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump cards she has up her sleeve.
Okay, so press. Thanks, game.
Rebuttal.
Thanks for letting me know to just not present anything yet. Sans the subject from Undertale?
Suspect. Hold it!
Suspect.
The suspect? Sans? But I thought that Detective Gumshoe's alibi has already been proven.
Are you joking, Edgeworth?
I assure you this is no joke.
Because it hasn't been proven. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier that the detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll.
Spending some time
on a Swiss roll.
Yes, that is correct. A weird way to say it, but yes.
But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is there's no one else who can corroborate what he did since the snacking.
I see she's done her research well, which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's withholding. Press a different statement, Alex.
Thanks, Edgeworth, for that,
Hold it!
For rubbing that in my face.
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide.
The scrunched eyebrows and lines on your forehead are back. You're old. Anyway, even if you... Actually, you're like 12.
Yeah, you're way older than me.
Yeah, and I don't have scrunched up lines on my forehead. Even if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene lobby number 2 has no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect.
But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window and into the garden?
I literally do that every line.
Love it.
So funny. That's the first place everyone looks, silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. I mean, they don't really do work. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad?
Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows.
Why are you talking so slow?
'Cause I'm cool.
Oh.
There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden.
What the hell was that? I suppose they really did check everything that could be relevant to the case.
He's brooding in the middle of his testimony. There's no possible escape? I'll bet there is.
Hold it! Are you absolutely positive that there are no possibility routes of escape?
Of course I'm sure.
And why are you so certain?
This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. Did you know that? If there were an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape.
First possibility routes, now escape routes.
It's just common sense. So funny. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future. Stupid.
How did you slice me from that direction?
Don't know how the forces played out on that, but somehow you got hit.
That was a boomerang whip.
From the front. I don't know. That wasn't my intent.
Hold it!
Somehow it got you.
You may think it's unshakable, but to me there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand?
But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing.
I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we've really reached the end now.
Pressed them all.
I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francisca or myself speaking with you about the subject.
But there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi. Scary motherfucker.
He is.
As for the little Missy... Missy... She came to the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway.
That sounds hilarious.
It's hilarious. She gave him quite the whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma. Did you know that? That's a fun fact for you. I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or Bill Bailiff or anyone else.
Wait, so basically the only reason Francisca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Ms. Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty?
What about them?
Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time?
What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1 at the speed of light, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe.
Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard that gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when that gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap, meant to manipulate our perception.
Objection! Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth.
Maybe you could let me finish it.
No, you don't even get to finish saying it. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1, care to explain how that could have been
Videotape!
the third time in a row. That tape? What about it?
Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rell the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded in the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way
Please
up.
tell us all about it, Edgeworth.
I mean, she doesn't know about it.
yeah.
I mean, she...
But
yeah,
like,
she-
we don't need to hear, we don't need to prove it 3 times. I mean,
Oh, I mean, the whole point is we have to prove it to her, I guess.
I guess. I get the logic, but it's like, okay. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video.
Ah, but I do, which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot.
That's the only thing I can think of, too.
After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television's volume all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we now know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection! Sounds from a television doesn't amount to much here. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Ms. Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew. I know everything, didn't we, Miles?
Yes, of course, we know everything. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse's rooms.
But if both windows were open, then they could have heard the normal gunshot too, right?
Well, it wasn't open before the killer opened them after.
Do we
window after. Well,
know that?
I mean, of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago.
This just seems like such a stretch of a theory. That's right, and if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet we heard the gunshot clear as day.
And?
And? That's it. End of story.
But it's not.
Huh.
How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from a soundproof room? The window was open. There is actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each.
Huh.
Now, we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
Objection! Windows opening. It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at that time.
Just opens windows over and over again.
I love to open windows, it's so funny.
Objection! That's not funny. It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened.
Just seems like someone could have left it
And
open.
the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is...
well, I guess I'll just accuse her.
So it's like, the reason why he's on this is because why is the tape in the thing? Why would the tape be in the VCR in the first place? Why was
someone could have just watched it as evidence, like the trial's going. It's just, there's so many more plausible explanations for, like, every point in our argument.
But
like,
because, well, anyway, Ms. Callisto, you, I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell.
What? Her? You indict me? Oh, fuck. That's gross. Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she is the killer?
I don't understand her motive just yet, but of course I'm serious, because she is the only one who could have done it. Well, Ms. Yu, do you still feel like laughing now?
Of course I do, Edgeworth. Everything's funny.
No, it's not! My argument must not be tight enough yet.
Although I never thought things would spiral into this. But I'll have you know that I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit.
Hey, Macarena, that's...
I'm doing the Macarena over here. I don't know if you've noticed. I can do it perfectly every time and not miss a beat.
That's very easy to do.
It's easy for me. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? Rebuttal. Get it?
Sounds like, but...
Or butter. You argue that the window was never opened. However...
I argue it was opened.
You argue that the window was open. However, do you have proof it was I who did that? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. Do you accuse everybody? Do you accuse Bill, the judge?
I would never.
That's right, Bill would never hurt a fly. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. Idiot.
This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now is the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test.
A perfect proof.
I want to see the Goofy movie equivalent.
The perfect proof.
Okay, the window is open. Already.
Your perfume, stupid!
Oh, yeah, I guess that's it, isn't it? I'll just fucking present it.
Objection! Your perfume, stupid.
Well, that was very easy.
I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Ms. Yu?
Edgeworth, I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. It's not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know?
I can do what I want. What? This isn't mine.
Ginger's binary, Miles, come on. That's right, it's mine. And I received it from Detective Bad, you see.
Ms. Yu, I use much better perfume. You can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much for sure. That this bottle of perfume was given to Detective Bad by you.
Because it gets really strong really fast. So, what about the perfume?
While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That's according to Detective Bad.
I didn't say that. Detective Bad. Oh, I know.
You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window.
Objection! Come on, I've already told you that's all just a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know? So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window.
Objection! The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time.
You mean?
Ms. Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1, when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct?
Maybe we'll find out if it's correct next time. Maybe Detective Bad will throw her out the window. That'd be awesome.